are live.
What's up, everyone? This is StoryHive on location in Vancouver with beats, eats, and more. I'm your host, Jamn Camrn, broadcasting live from MOARRR studio here on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Big shouts out to TELUS STORYHIVE, who's made today's episode possible. We are joined today with Jared Davis. Jared Davis is a multidisciplinary artist based in Vancouver with an extensive background in parkour. He works across human movement, digital media, filmmaking, motion design, and music, spending his career developing each as its own discipline and now focusing on weaving them together into a unified artistic practice. Jared's current work centers on collaboration and community, expanding his network while empowering fellow artists to develop their ideas on their own terms outside of institutional frameworks. Welcome, Jared. Thank you for being here.
If you were just gonna read my bio, I would have wrote something else in there. Dang.
No, that's it. I mean, like, this is you. This is everything here.
Fair.
I mean, it's been awesome to, like, not only get to know you as a person, like, obviously, like, we're very close friends, and we met actually through your work, through sort of that multidisciplinary lens of capturing dance. It was 2018, and I didn't meet you exactly, but it was the recap of Honor Roll, like at the Strathcona Street Party.
That was 2018, huh?
That was 2018, exactly. So almost 8 years ago, where I saw your work, and then you connected with Victor a lot. Victor's another guest that we had on the show before, and he introduced me to you to do the Vines promo. You remember we shot it at Leaside Skate Park?
Yeah.
And then from there, we just kind of kept on keeping on with the work, you know, like, and now, like, populating a lot of each other's Instagrams and things, and, like, continually in dialogue surrounding, you know, different creative works and things like that.
I think my Instagram feed is mostly you.
I think it is mostly me. But yeah, good friends in a lot of different ways, and always hearing about each other's creative passions and things. And I guess to start it off, I just want to hear a little bit about little Jared, you know? Little Jared is in young Jared, you know,
Okay.
your formative years. Whoa, pause. I want to hear
It's
about...
like, you've never called me that
You
before.
never
Why
called
are
me
you doing this
why
to
are
me?
you doing this to me now? All of a sudden we're in front of a
What's up,
camera.
little man?
What's up, little? I'm not trying to big dog you or anything. No, but in your formative years, you know, how you got started, like, obviously having many creative practices and processes now, but were you always creatively involved? Were you always acrobatic or athletic? You know, what did the beginning look like, and how did it plant into, or like grow into what you have now? Speaking of plants.
Yeah, I don't think I had like too many memories of anything artistic. It was way more centered around sports and physical activity. And then probably when I was like 17, 18, I got more interested in art. But I started with soccer. My dad put me pretty much in every sport possible, but soccer stuck and it didn't hurt my feet like hockey did.
Okay, word.
So that's the sport that I kept going to because I complained the least. And I wanted to be a pro soccer player probably up until I was 17 when I found parkour. And then something about the freedom and the community in parkour that wasn't competitive, but much more cooperative and focused on like supporting each other's progress and growth. Whereas in soccer, the higher up I got and the older I got, it kind of seemed like everybody was kind of like standoffish and cautious of you taking their position or the opportunity that was coming, and parkour didn't really have that. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, that's it. Like starting with sports, and then getting into like continuing with movement practice. And nowadays, like we had a conversation not too long ago where you said that your body is your main canvas. I'm paraphrasing in a way, but it was that.
I like that.
You know. Well, I'll let you have it then.
My body, the paintbrush, and the canvas.
It could be either or. It's both if you want. But that you're embodying art through parkour, right? And so with that kind of in mind, thinking like how that sort of like transference happened, like going from this very like set. There's a lot of rules in soccer. There's a lot of rules in sports. You know, playing in a specific context. Whereas parkour is so open, right? You can really do it anywhere. There's the freedom in the art form. Like, how did you find that expression? Like, you know what I mean?
I think that's kind of interesting because when you're talking and you referred it as like an avenue for creativity, I don't remember exactly what you said, but I had that issue with parkour when I was younger and I was doing it, that I didn't really feel like I was that creative because it was very, I mean, the whole thing around parkour is A to B. Like you have something to accomplish. You have a move set or you have a line that you're trying to do. And I think I was missing some creativity in that. I mean, other people for sure can express themselves through parkour. I found it more difficult. I was much more drawn to, funny enough, dance, but I never committed to it in the same way as I have with parkour. And I think now, coming back to parkour, and it's a lot lighter and not about competition for me and not about like proving something to myself, I can consider how I want to integrate creativity from people that I've learned from, like you, Kazi, like Sav. I mean, everybody that is so involved in dance and can pretty much express themselves in a way that I find really difficult. I try to consider how I can think in the same way that I project that you guys do in parkour. So it's a little bit lighter and more like, I don't know, expressive than it's ever been. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to integrate it in a way that feels unique to me, but that's kind of the way that I'm exploring parkour now.
Got you. And what are some of those like early inklings that you have, like finding that creative freedom? Like, are there specific pathways that you can link together in a way, like kind of like with dance moves, right? Like a lot of people say foundation is freedom. So you find the sort of the template, like kind of like the Vitruvian man of like what it is, like anatomically, this is what's happening, this is the configuration, and then you bring your experience, you bring your voice, you know?
Yeah, I think what I'm facing now when I do train is like hesitation to let myself follow that kind of expression. And I think it's bringing me back to this idea that I think is so important for beginners and pretty much anybody at whatever stage you're at, is to be okay with looking stupid.
Right.
Like, you're gonna look goofy, you're gonna fail. Even when I warm up and I have almost 18 years of experience, I'm still going to mess up a jump the first couple times when my body's just warming up. And I still feel self-conscious when that happens. Like, I hope nobody's watching me.
Yeah.
I don't want them to like see me with this picture I have in my head of how I'm supposed to look, failing something and what it means about me. And noticing that that thought process is still happening is an indication for me that there's a lot of work to do around lessening the influence of that kind of concern around like criticism, or I guess it was my own self-criticism. But yeah, letting go of the potential of looking stupid or silly and just following that expression and whatever like intuitive desire comes up. I think that's what I'm trying to do more of.
Yeah, I get that. That's really interesting. Like, I talk about this every day, and we've definitely talked about it, where like Venom, one of my dance teachers, like he introduced the idea to me that dance or technique isn't dance, technique supports dance. And so like basically what I've been working through right now is the idea of like this sort of, you know, let loose kind of character at the club, you know, or at a party that like is just really like no inhibitions, but then templating it with the technique. And I'm curious because with dance, like obviously there's so much room to be bipedal and to be upright and to be, you know, in a comfortable framework. But with parkour and with acrobatics, there's a very different margin of error, you know what I mean? And there's like, you really got to plan out what you're doing. Like, how do you find like that play and that space and that release when it's like you know, you're totally inverted and like feet are off the ground and things like that, and you're really managing so many different dynamics.
I think it just depends on like what I've consumed prior to a session. Not like food-wise, but what I've been watching.
Right.
Like you'll share stuff with me and I'll share stuff with you that I've seen, and it's maybe like outside of our practice, but it has like some place in the universe of movement that we can identify as either like high level or unique and creative, and that really influences how I show up in my sessions. And it just changes all the time. Like sometimes I'll be doing acrobatics on the spring floor. I train at Origins a lot, which is not like the best thing for parkour because you're supposed to be outside. And I think just 2 weeks ago I trained outside for the first time in like 4 years. But it's environment dependent is what I'm trying to get at, and yeah, like whatever I'm consuming at the time. So, and it's the comfort that I feel in that space too. Like I'm way less likely to try to do something that incorporates some kind of like dance move or capoeira move in public. Because I'm like, I want to look good when I do this.
Yeah,
I
totally.
gotta stick to my things that I know how to do, which like speaks to another part of my practice that I'm trying to work on, is that mentality of like, I do want to integrate these things into every environment, so I have to kind of get over that like projection of judgment.
You got to do it enough times that it like feels authentically you, right?
Yeah, not awkward.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that you don't want people seeing, which I think is fine for people to see, but it's hard to fight that.
It is hard to fight that, but I feel like with anything, there's the room for you to do it on your own and like, you know, find it in your body, and then there's another practice of being witnessed in the place that you're at, you know, and then there's even more layers that could be added of like the witnessing in front of somebody who is adjudicating you, or like, you know, there's stakes involved, like financial, if you could potentially win an award or whatever it is.
Yeah, I feel like you face that stuff more than I do, because you're in dance battles, you're in performances. My training just like doesn't really involve that right now.
Totally, that's super fair, but hurdles nonetheless, I suppose, you know, that you're facing in like integrating those things. But I do want to come back to something that you brought up, and this was a curiosity that I had like leading into the interview, is with dance, obviously it's, you know, people see it in different ways, but music and movement at the very least, and then for others it's music then movement. I'm curious about your personal like consumption of music when it comes to parkour, but also like canonically, like are there like parkour songs, you know what I mean, that like
good question.
It's like ingrained in the community, like with breaking, for example, It's Just Begun by Jimmy Castor Bunch is like a breaking song, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that song actually. But in parkour, it's a lot of like Nujabes
Okay.
and Jay Dilla, I feel like. A lot of the early guys, that's my generation. I don't know what I don't know what the kids are listening to now when they're training parkour, or like what is relevant for them. It's usually what you hear in a music video. No, sorry, not a music video, in a parkour video.
Right.
That heavily influences. So there's old videos that use like French rap, which I can't name any of the song titles, but like there was a period where all of us were listening to that, Army of the Pharaohs. And yeah, Gangstar.
Okay.
All that brings me back to like the early days of training parkour, listening to like a Gangstar compilation CD in my brother's car, driving from Langley to Vancouver on the weekends, every weekend. Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, because in a way, like there's the same sort of level of contingency with like why certain songs are popular within certain dance communities is DJs selected them, right? But in certain ways, it's like whoever laid the music over top of the parkour video that you're consuming, that's kind of the DJ, you know? It's like the parkour artists themselves, like they were just like, hey, I like this song and I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah.
And so then the community at large takes it in.
Yeah, it's a nice way to indirectly share music too, because that's what I did my early days in parkour. As soon as I found a track that was in somebody's parkour video and I admired them, I went on and I started downloading tracks from that artist and just kept like building my family tree of music from there. So I've never considered really how influential that was. So that's a good question. Yeah.
Word, I appreciate that, and that actually leads me to another question I was curious about. Like, what is the lineage of parkour for you personally? Like, who are some of your like, you know, OGs, pioneers, people that you look to, like whether it's in the local community or you know, in the global community?
Okay, I'm glad you're asking that. I thought you were gonna go like, what's the history of parkour?
What is the
Like,
history?
oh,
No. Personal is the universal, right? Like I want to hear about you. I could Google any of that other stuff, you know. And I did a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, man, there's like so many old school guys. I mean, my first experience of seeing parkour, I think, was. Well, it's even further back than what I'm thinking about. I was gonna say Casino Royale and Sebastian Foucan, who is one of the guys who was like in the founding group of parkour. He was the guy that was getting chased on the crane by James Bond.
Word.
And my dad, me and my brother, I think we watched that movie, and my dad did some research and found that there was guys in Vancouver training parkour. And then my brother got into it first, and then I got into it after that. And but influences where I first saw parkour happened like way earlier when I was living in Winnipeg. And do you know the movie Ong Bak?
No, I don't.
With I'm forgetting his name.
Oh, Kazzy. Kazzy knows it. Kazzy's geeked over
Like
here.
crazy Mai Tai with chase scenes happening, and it's set in Thailand. And Tony Jaa, yeah, he's he also did The Protector, and then before that, more parkour direct was B13 or District 13, and that had David Bell, who is the founder of parkour in a way. His father is kind of the guy that like developed this and taught David, and in the movie he plays a character, and there's a chase scene at the beginning where he does this underbar through this window, and it's such an iconic shot. And I think that was the first time I saw something where it could actually be classified as like that's parkour. Of course, there's Jackie Chan and Tony Jaa, but somebody was actually like directly training that outside and then developed it into parkour and was teaching him and his friends. And yeah, there's so much you can go into from that. But
100%. You know, like there's so much media around anything that's like, you know, globally and ubiquitously known, right? And so many influences that go into that practice, or like individual people's practices. And then the same sort of idea of like sharing one's personal videos, like, or sharing the music through like the compilation videos. It's like, you gotta watch this, you gotta check that, like, yo, look, parkour happened here, or like, you know, the movement connections all over.
Yeah, there's a lot of jumps too that are like iconic, some in France and the UK, where people go back to now, or they do pilgrimages to. Like people used to go to the Dame de Lac in Nice in France and train there because David Bell trained there.
Right.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And there's the manpower gap where like everybody has done it, seems now, and I think a handful of women have done it as well, which was a huge milestone for parkour. Yeah, I don't really know where to go from there.
No, that's super interesting, like that, because I hadn't considered that like, you know, when somebody does something in a particular location, like people would want to go back and also follow in the footsteps of it, similar to how people would hear like, oh, there's this iconic battle that happened and there's this iconic song, so DJs are going to want to play it, or the historic clubs that people are dancing in, or, you know, going to like 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, even though like there isn't really anything happening there, like people want to be at the place where hip hop was born. You know, there's power in a place.
Yeah.
Pause. But also talking about places, I want to go back to what you were saying about how your dad was the one that was scouting out these parkour spots, and your brother
No,
got
he
into
wasn't
it.
scouting
He wasn't
parkour
scouting, no, but there was a sort of introduction.
Oh yeah,
There's
one of
sort
the first days where he was showing me some of the moves that he did.
Okay.
I think he's watching, which is really nice. But I'm gonna make him look goofy here. He he was walking with me, and there was a fence.
Right.
He was talking about parkour, and he's like, "They have moves like this," and he goes to do what is now like a Kong vault, where you put your hands down and try to pull your legs through, and he clips his feet and falls flat on the ground.
Oh no.
So that's the first time I've seen it like in person, a parkour move.
Was your dad?
was my dad
Okay,
bailing
got you. I misunderstood what the story was that you were telling. That's awesome.
No, I like the alternate reality where my dad is scouting parkour spots with me.
For sure,
Nice
yeah.
upbringing.
You know, just to make a connection, like my dad taught me how to spin. You know, like on my feet. He just like one day in the living room, he was like, he actually did it really well, and I was like, whoa, that was sick. I've never seen you move like that before. He did not. He didn't eat it. He just did like 3 rotations. I was like, whoa, okay, you know.
Like your dad doing something that's so new to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans can move like
Humans
that.
can move. Whoa, crazy. But yeah, he also didn't scout out any dance spots for me, just to draw the parallel between our lives. But then a more open question that does not involve your dad is, what were those spots that you were going to? Like, where was the community meeting? And also just letting that segue into the origin of origins. You know that I had to say, you know that we had to do it, but yeah, how that, like from your early times of meeting up in spots and then eventually into, you know, what you founded as a hub.
Yeah, I think it was West Vancouver. The guy who now owns Origins, Renee Scavington, he was teaching with a couple of the guys. I think Lucius was another guy who was at one time an owner of Origins as well. And I'm going to forget a bunch of other people, unfortunately. Some people have come and gone, but that was my introduction, was driving from Langley to West Vancouver and then taking the class, and then we would spend like all day going to downtown Vancouver and train for like 8 hours straight and just hang out.
8 hours.
Maybe do it the next day, but every single weekend, that's what it was. Yeah. And then in 2011, I believe, is when the spot that would end up being Origins was found. It was the 3rd floor. It still is a 3rd floor Planet Bingo, but it looked completely different than it did now. And there was a lot of renovations to do. A huge team of people helped build Origins, and yeah, it's gone through so many iterations, of course, and Renee has done an excellent job of maintaining it and keeping the business going through COVID as well, and making sure that the community is a welcoming place where people keep wanting to come back. And especially, it's kind of like a side thing, but when I started, there was like no women who were training. Maybe 1 or 2 occasionally, but that's completely changed now. There's coaches who are women, there's leaders in the community. Vancouver has a very strong, tight-knit group of women who train together regularly, mostly at Origins and outside. And Renee has opened up another gym in Port Moody as well as a branch of Origins. So it's been expanding, and it has hubs now where I feel like it's great that it's connected to the beginning stages of the people who started parkour in the city. If that answers your question.
No, definitely it does. Wow, that's fantastic.
Like, no, it doesn't.
No, it does. I would really love for you to start over. What's your name again? Wow, no, that's great. And in terms of like, I guess the documentation of that, sort of like maybe a non sequitur, but also related in a lot of ways, is like looking back on that history, and you're able to share about all of that, having been there, having been one of the founders. What did that look like? You know, like capturing Vancouver movement. Like, were you always kind of like involving videography into your parkour, and also the process of building that space?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like some of the horrible videos I made when I first started. And I'm so glad are not posted anywhere now.
Yeah.
Because I took them down.
Okay, got you. Are they in a vault?
They're on mini DV tapes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Which I need to digitize because I'm sure those things are not going to last forever.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's a process, and I don't want to do it. But like horrible tripod shots of like me and my brother training in Langley, and triple XXL gray sweatpants from Walmart.
That's what I'm rocking now, you know. What goes around comes around.
Dude, that's so funny. Like, I'm sure it looked weird to everybody else, but like as a parkour person, you just understood you're gonna train at kids' playgrounds, you're gonna have your shirt off.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids are gonna be running around, and you're gonna wear sweatpants pretty much like every single day.
Yeah.
A bit of a lost boys complex in parkour maybe, but
yeah,
the good days. Documenting stuff has changed completely now that we have phones, and like I think when the Canon T2i came out, that like revolutionized the way that parkour videos were made, because it was so compact and it wasn't on mini DV tapes, and like I think everybody seemed to gravitate towards that camera in particular. And then the quality of the quality of videos that came out like greatly increased at that point. And now it just looks like everybody either films on their phone, which looks incredible, or they have like cinema grade cameras that they're filming their compilation videos with, and like the quality's gone up so much. So in a short amount of time, I mean, that same mini DV tapes makes it sound like it was so long ago, but that was like 15 years ago.
Totally.
Maybe a little more. But
I mean, the advancement of technology, or like the advancement of advancement, is also increasing at an exponential rate, you know? So something that was cool and useful and brand new like a week ago is old news already, you know? I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there is a way in which like things are moving at a really quick pace. So 15 years ago feels like 50 years ago.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, true.
Coming
And
from
that
a
stuff's coming
30-year-old
back.
person. You know?
Young man. Little Josh.
Exactly.
Like mini DV tapes are coming back too in a weird way. People have camcorders now, and they're like filming their YouTube vlogs on them for the aesthetic. And
For sure, yeah. Again, the sort of like nostalgia factor of like what goes around comes around. But also even like what you're saying about like people having more access to these like cinema grade cameras, is that I feel like there's a lot more production companies that are renting out gear. People have an understanding of the gear as well, and like what's needed. You can Google things, you can go on YouTube University and like figure things out for yourself. And so, you know, as much as everybody has access to a phone, like you then come to realize the limitations of it, and that like in order to be a cut above folks, you gotta have a little bit more going on, right?
money.
That's it.
What are you eating?
End interview.
Crackers.
Crackers. Word. And so then just broadening the scope a little bit. So that's like the documentation of your parkour, very simple setup, you know. Was that your introduction into video? Or were you already capturing things prior to that?
Yeah, man. Weirdly enough, my dad was the influence on this again.
Yeah.
I remember he was editing on Final Cut Express, I think, or something, Final Cut 4. A video, he was getting into video editing at one point, and he was editing a video of this guy's documentary of Burning Man.
Okay.
Which at the time I didn't know anything about Burning Man, so I was watching the footage back and I was like, all right, this looks like a cool festival, I guess. And now I have so many friends who have gone, and it's like built up to this kind of worldwide international festival that's well known. And anyway, he was editing and then started teaching me like how to use Final Cut. So I started taking the footage that I was filming for parkour and parkour training, like trying to make edits, and very trash edits, of course, but it was just like kind of an obsession. It was something so new to me that I just continued to do it, and then it kind of evolved into there's better programs. I migrated to Adobe and then got fascinated with After Effects because there were so many things that I could add to my parkour videos potentially. Yeah, it kind of took that natural progression. It just like fit the lifestyle that I had and the skill of video editing and videography and photography just naturally built as a result around that.
Mm-hmm. You just happen to have these two mediums, or like the medium was parkour that you wanted to capture,
Yeah.
and then editing. That's cool that it was like editing first, and then it was expanding your videography based off of that.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. And thinking about the documentary style that you're talking about, you've also entered into, well, it was one episode for sure, All That's Left podcast. I know that it was like
Yeah, I don't think I'm keeping that name.
You don't think you're keeping that?
No, because originally I wanted to call it Parkour for Life. And I think I'm going to go back to that just because I like the fact that it's kind of cheesy.
Parkour for Life. I think you should.
Because
honestly.
it kind of touches on this idea of like, I don't know, being a little bit more philosophical or
Yeah.
coming at it from a completely different approach than before. And
Totally.
like what parkour has taught me about life.
Yeah.
And it plays off of that really cheesy thing of being like, yeah, fuck 'em. Oh, parkour for life.
Yeah, totally.
You know, which I think like every forum kid kind of had that attitude growing up. And
Yeah, 100%. And again, like a sort of nostalgia factor, like calling it back to that thing and then looking at it from a more mature lens now. Like you're not, like in a way you're doing it ironically, but then also you've expanded it to the point where it's like you want to do parkour for the rest of your life is like one way of looking at the like homonym of it or the double entendre of it. But then also like the entirety of your life and like also the things that you learned in it, you know? Okay, so Parkour for Life is the new name. But the question I was gonna ask is like, what was the guiding factor that took you into that, you know, into being the one that was interviewing and being the one that was asking these questions and documenting outside of a video format, you know? Just pure audio.
I don't know. I can't really identify it really well right now, or find the words to explain it. I feel like at this point in my life, I've had enough experiences where I feel like my perspective can be helpful, especially to young men. And in parkour, it's so much still dominated by young men. And I think at what I see happening in the online sphere right now is there's just so much, like, I hate to use this term, but like toxic masculinity. And it's really irritating to see. And when I was young, like, I think I acted in ways that if I had a better male influence or I saw models of better male attitude and lifestyle, like I would have made the changes to my life that I have in recent years much earlier on. And maybe this is like a too big picture idea for what that kind of interview series would be, but I wanted to highlight some of the other people in my life who have made those kinds of changes to their lives and give them a platform, have a conversation, and get to know them better. But also have like an archive of something where like people in the parkour community, hopefully young people, can watch and see people who are connected to the thing that they're interested in and model good behavior and give them stories of what their progress has looked like. And I'm particularly aggravated by seeing podcasts where it's like this super successful person and they talk about their success. And it doesn't dive particularly deep for what I'm looking for oftentimes into how they became the person they are, not just the things that they've done along the way and like the accolades that they have or the jobs that they have. I would like to know like how insecure they were young and what changed for them, who influenced them in such a way so that they can make those changes in their lives, or be candid and talk about the less than proud moments. And I think there's so many people that are looking for others who can be candid like that and be real, because that models reality better than somebody who seems to have it all together and who is at this stage where they're exalted in their communities or by fans, or just seem to like be at a stage where they then get to have that kind of attention. I want to see somebody talk about like the not so good sides of themselves. And I'm not saying that I've done that in the episodes that I've recorded so far, but that's just the interest for me of like, I want to make something like that. So hopefully that's what it turns into.
Yeah, definitely, like the wholeness of someone's humanity, you know, and their experience. Like, I think using a lot of or I feel what you're saying, a lot of those terms of like being placed on a pedestal and like accolades and jobs and like the front facing things.
Yeah, man. There's so much posturing too.
So much so much lying.
Like, I can't look vulnerable. I think a lot of men have that. Like, I can't look vulnerable. I can't look insecure. I need to project a certain image. And that's just not the reality for a lot of young men don't have that. And instead of seeing somebody who is projecting this like false confidence all the time, I think they need to see somebody who is real and who has an ability to like embrace that vulnerability, but not let it seem like that's a destabilizing thing.
Totally.
Because I think a lot of young people have that in their head that like, if I show that side of vulnerability, it means this about me. Or like another person is going to take advantage of me, or like another guy is going to make fun of me or something. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, not just in this podcast is just an extension of like how you interact and operate, particularly like, you know, I've experienced with you a lot where you're very open, you're very honest, you're very vulnerable, and you share in your process of, you know, reaching higher versions of yourself, of reaching those versions that you want to present. I remember you said something to me that stuck so much, like, and there's been many times where you've like really reassured me in process, but the term iterative process, you knew it too. You knew it was coming. I use that term daily because like, you know, it's so easy to get like stuck in the comparison of like seeing the posturing and like a falsehood of what you ought to look like, and then, well, I'm not that right now,
Right.
so, and this is a big leap, you know. I'm curious like how that term like manifested in your life, like who you heard it from, how it continues to show up, just because of how impactful hearing it was for me, you know.
That's cool, man. I mean, I knew you were going to say that, but
Yeah.
It's nice to have that reflection of like that makes me feel like I have an important place in your life. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely.
I don't know where I first heard it from. Like, you hear one thing in a book or an interview or a conversation with somebody, and then you hear it again, and it just compounds over time. So I think it was iterative.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, it would be difficult for me to identify exactly when the first time was. A lot of the books I read, I've done coaching, I've had therapy, I've talked to plenty of people about those kinds of subjects. So yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is just compounding now to the most important ones that I have held on to are at the forefront. So then I end up sharing them and talking about them with friends and family.
Yeah, word. They just pop up in different places. I love that term of like compounding experience, and like even that like the learning of it is iterative, that there's certain durational things like conversations with coaches, learning from books that like, you know, we read it over the course of many afternoons, not just like bing bang boom, get it all in like a vacuum.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what you said earlier. I was gonna have something to say, but then it has left me. So
That's okay. Yeah, I have more that I want to ask you for sure. You do so much. We could just be here all day talking about all the cool things. I guess kind of pivoting a little bit is talking about parkour for life, right? Like as a name, as a lifestyle, as your own philosophies that you have found iterative process in developing for yourself. What does parkour for life look like? Like as a movement practice, because looking into it, there's a lot of gymnasts, for example, who also doing an acrobatic type movement, they retire in their early to mid 20s. Is it possible, or like do you see it in your future to have that movement into your 50s, into your 60s or longer? How would it pivot? Like, what is that for you?
yeah, I think it's gonna be my entire life. Like, I don't see a future where I'm not doing that because it keeps me so healthy. And there'll be a adjustment to preserve my body.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not going to be doing like the kind of height drops I'm doing now or was doing when I'm like 50 or 60. But I intend to train my entire life. And I would ideally like to be a model for like that kind of living. And I want that to extend to my friends and my family so that they can see that there's, bless you,
Thank you.
there's a sustainable way to live.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain quality of life that it brings. And I see a lot of people that don't have like a movement practice. And it seems like it's painful. Like a lot of people complain about chronic pain, or their body just in general doesn't feel good, or they have like a malaise or something. But I think the cure to a lot of issues in people's lives is to move their body.
For sure.
Like you are built to move, and your body lays down scar tissue and does not prioritize blood flow to certain areas. If you are not moving your body or you become stiff, like it's a very efficient machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the key to longevity is you just keep moving. And sitting, I do it too often, and I think that is like the worst thing you can do for your body.
For sure.
But yeah, like weight training, parkour, I'm going to be doing it my entire life, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like you said, it'll just look different, And I remember hearing, I think it was one of the fitness influencers, Beard the Best You Can Be. I think his name is Amir, and he said the best position for your body is the next position.
Yeah.
And sometimes the next position doesn't look like the same sort of pathway that you did before, right? Like if it was like a super virtuosic pathway that was available to you in your early 20s or in your mid 20s, it may not look the same as when you're in your early to mid 40s, But the next position is still what you're striving for, to keep going, to keep searching. There's so many philosophies about like the beauty of movement, and just like snappy little things like movement being medicine, motion is lotion. These type of like, wonderful little snappy things.
Yeah. Do you have any fear for like losing your ability later in life?
I have thought about it, but then when I see examples of people that are like, in their 80s and they're like still doing like, muscle ups and things like that, I'm like, wow, if I just keep going, if I keep doing it, then like, or there's that video, I think she was like 101-year-old gymnast and she's doing the like parallel bars and just ripping it. I was like, I want that to be me. Or like seeing people, like there's so many different examples of like people that kept going.
Yeah.
And they held on,
There's just so much joy in it too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, and like you were saying, there's so many things that you can do and collect. Like it's endless. I don't think you're ever going to get bored of movement. Even now, like I'm constantly seeing capoeira in my Instagram feed because I favorited a couple things. But there's just so many moves out there. And I heard one breaker talking about that recently at Origins too, saying like you can just continue to iterate over and over again and things can improve, and it's like an obsession you can have about it. But it's such a nice thing to project into the future and realize that, oh, this is something I'm going to have for life.
Yeah.
And it kind of calms my anxiety around like needing to progress, because I realize that it's going to be something that I'm going to get to carry with me, and you're going to lose some things, but you're also going to get so much better on other things. Like the foundations just solidify so much. You're going to continue to learn from other people. People are going to want to come up to you and learn from you. So yeah.
Word. I'm curious if you ever had a time, because we had Risto on a couple weeks ago, Risto Duggan. We were talking about injuries and, you know, preservation of the body. I've gone through my own fair share of injuries. I feel like high-level movement artists and athletes have all had that, and it's, you know, taken on perspective, or it's brought me to places where I've taken on perspectives of like, I'll never dance again, you know? Have you been in those places, dealt with those type of injuries?
Yeah. Like a couple of years into parkour, I think the injury was caused by a mix of snowboarding on a really icy day at Whistler.
Right.
One time, my first day ever snowboarding, and then mixed with overtraining in parkour and twisting. But I had a disc herniation. I mean, I broke bones off my ankles before that.
Right.
But I thought I sprained my ankles, but I ended up like breaking bone and having it float into my joint. So I had surgery on my right ankle. I think I was 19 when that happened. And then when I was 20, I started having problems with my spine. My L4 and L5, I had a disc herniation, and it started pushing against my sciatic nerve on my right side. And I started losing feeling in my right leg and in my my obliques, and then like a little bit further up onto the right side of my body. That lasted for like a year, on and off again, of trying to figure out what the problem was, and then people just telling me I needed to do yoga.
Right.
Until I was stuck in like a 90-degree angle one time when I woke up. I just couldn't stand up anymore, and I had to go in for an emergency MRI. And the next day, the doctor called me and he's like, "We need to book you in for surgery like today, because if we don't operate, you're probably going to have permanent loss of feeling to your leg." Because by that time, I had started to lose feeling in my calf and my foot, and it was traveling up. So within like a couple days, I had the surgery, and then I was standing straight.
Wow.
It was really odd, yeah.
Yeah. But still a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, the recovery from that was really odd, because there would be points where I thought I re-injured it. So mentally, it just kind of like wore me down over time. But I came back. It took about a year until I could actually come back and start training again. But at that time, the gym was getting made, so that was a really nice outlet for me. And I get to spend a lot of time around friends and watch this whole community start to blossom and develop into what is now an amazing gym.
Beautiful.
And then I dislocated my elbow shortly after that.
Awesome. So good. But having gone through like the thick of it in those really deep injuries and those really scary injuries, then this was just a cakewalk, you know?
No, I screamed when I had
Oh
that.
yeah, I bet. No, I'm like, obviously I'm playing a little
This
bit
was
with
like,
that.
I had just recovered from my back, and there was this tree at Stanley Park, the tree like when at the entrance of Stanley Park, and I jumped to a branch, and my friend had just gotten there, my roommate, and I was showing him what I was doing. I jumped to the branch, and my foot went one way and my hand went the other, and I just helicoptered and landed, and the bone pushed off to the side, and
Okay.
I was like just feeling like, oh man, my arm feels weird, and then I realized that I had dislocated it,
Right.
and like I just like started yelling. I think more so from like the fact that like, oh, now I'm injured again.
Yeah. It was like the anguish of losing your practice once more.
Yeah.
I feel that. Pardon me.
More hot water?
Oh, yes, please. I'll have some more hot water. Boom.
Your dad's on the stream.
Top up your ruibos.
Oh.
My dad?
Pop,
Hi,
pop.
Pops.
Boom.
He's driving.
And so now.
He's driving?
Oh, let's go.
Oh, man, the voice to text I get from my dad when he's driving.
And so now having those perspectives, like a new practice that you're bringing on or like inviting in is sharing wellness with folks. Having had these experiences, understanding your body so well, but also repair of the body. So what does that journey look like for you in the future going forward? Like what do you desire with that?
I mean, most notably, I'm thinking of going into RMT school.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's in the program right now at VCMT, and I think it's really common for people in like the movement arts to get into it, especially that program. But I think that there's a lot of like healing potential in human touch, and that is just another thing that helps people become more embodied. I think it's a really necessary thing right now, and a lot of people are not connected to their bodies in any way, and they don't experience non-sexual touch very often either, especially as people age. And massage therapy is just one of those things that has always been at the forefront of my mind when I'm really connected to my body. And now when I project into the future and I think about what I have as like a stable income mixed with something that matches my lifestyle really well, that just keeps coming back around, and it feels good. So I think that's what I'm going to explore next.
Nice. That's really interesting, especially again, like coming from like so much embodiment in your practice and in your body, like how that transfers over to somebody else. Do you see yourself like also inviting in a sort of like programming for people, or is it just the transference of energy through massage? Like, would you want to share verbally, even on like Parkour for Life, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but like you were saying in the bio, I think there's a keen interest on integration at this stage in my life. So that's kind of the question that I'm having right now is like, what does that picture of me look like? And how do I maintain all these interests and not feel like I need to let something go? Because I think a year ago I had that feeling of like, I have so many things I'm interested in, and I feel like I'm not devoting myself to them. But the more I thought about that, the more I realized like, I don't think that's particularly true. I think there's more things that I can change in my character so that I can allow these areas to have more of my time and attention, so I can actually remain devoted to them and then unify them into like one solidified picture of who I am. And maybe not be too caught up in the identity of that, but I feel like that is a much better answer than being like, I need to let go of these things because I've come around to them for a reason. And I don't think that I'd be doing myself a service by like cutting out parkour or cutting out music or anything like video photo. I think it all just is making up that picture of who I am, and I'll be happy to look back when I'm old to say, you know, I stuck with those things because they were an important component of who I am.
Yeah, and they continue to marinate and manifest like within your unconscious. Like there's certain ebbs and flows with practices of all kind, like be they movement arts or the practice of videography, the practice of editing, the practice of making music, that you're building those templates and structures on a kind of an underlying level. There's an undercurrent of creation that's happening, and when you come back to them, you come back to them, you know, the fluidity of it rather than like the distinct binary of like, not doing it, it's not a part of my life anymore, don't want it, don't need it.
Yeah.
Even if you try to do that inadvertently, you might come around to like, or come full circle, and like with these new perspectives that you've gained, even trying to distance yourself from it, that's a way in which you actually magnetize yourself to it.
Yeah, you're reminding me of a sort of like new concept that I'm playing with in my life and the systems is I kind of want to focus on having like a domino thing in my life that I put all my attention on and that can change in the seasons, but then have like minimums for every single thing that I have that I'm interested in. So as long as I hit those minimums in my day or my week, then it feels like I'm giving it the kind of attention that it needs. And that could be something simple as like opening up an Ableton session or going to the gym. And if my focus is on something else at the time, I get that done first. And then I just make sure that I can like tend to the rest of my garden.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I feel like that's really important for people to understand is, well, it's definitely a balance between like gratification and like also like setting up thresholds for yourself that feel achievable like at all times. For example, like, you know, sometimes I'll beat myself up because I didn't go to the gym and do like a full weightlifting circuit. But then setting myself up for like the threshold of success of like, if I do horse stance every day, that is my movement practice. Like that is, or my conditioning practice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like the act of like writing a note and having a thought like, hey, I want to make this video. And I actually made one time. It was like called 4 on the Floor Bluetooth. And the only idea I had is that somebody opens their mouth and they have blue teeth. And then the idea lives and dies there, but it's an act of creation nonetheless.
Yeah. Maintaining the practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it like, you know, you see things to their logical conclusion and the logical conclusion is just like one sentence, you know, that's it. But then also there is a possibility that if you open up that Ableton sesh, that it's going to become an entire track.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, is you just give yourself the easiest hurdle to get over towards that thing that you've already identified that you care about, and then the rest is just going to take care of itself.
100%.
Yeah.
Wow. And it looks like this interview just took care of itself because we're good friends with good rapport and we have fun. Yippee. No, I love you so much.
Your dad said you love my voice texts.
I say
That's so funny. All right. So that brings us to the end of our interview today, but I do have some fun rapid fire questions because again, we love to have fun around here. So start it off. You can answer this however you want, whatever metric. Backflip or front flip? Backflip. I knew you were gonna say it, but I just had to ask because like, it's just such
all
a like.
day. It's so
just
much
like,
easier.
You do parkour, so I'm gonna ask you about flips. All right, here we go. Favorite coffee shop in Vancouver to lock in and get work done.
I don't really work at a lot of coffee shops. to be
Okay,
honest,
gotcha,
but I go
gotcha.
and read.
You go,
I
okay.
think Elysian on 8th is probably the one I'd go to the most.
Dude, 100%. So good. You can only listen to one song for the rest of your life. What song are you choosing?
Ooh, good question. That's the hardest question to answer. Rapid fire. I think it's Nujabes Aurorian Dance. I think
Okay.
it's called. Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right. One Vancouver artist that more people should have on their radar.
Vancouver artist, like any kind of artist.
Any kind of artist, visual artist, videographer, dancer.
Jamn Camrn.
Boom, you heard it here. Impactful quote you've heard or read recently.
It's actually one that my dad reminded me of, and I think it has links to Buddhism, but it's also, I'm pretty sure, like a sports saying. And it's never too high, never too low.
Never too high, never too low.
Yeah. Setting expectations, I find.
Okay.
Yeah. You can make it mean whatever you need it to mean.
Got you. Okay, this is one, like, just over the history of parkour, one signature shoe
Oh,
in the world of parkour. Kalenji, is that what you got on right now?
No, they don't.
No.
They don't exist anymore. I have a pair in a box that
Okay.
I've worn through, and it's like my parkour totem kind of.
Right.
Yeah, they were just this fat sneaker that, like, if you didn't train outside very often because you didn't have good landings, you threw on a pair of Kalenjis and you could stick almost any rail pre.
Sick. I love that. All right, go to recovery practice for post parkour / intense workout sesh.
Recovery. I can't say the full thing what I do for my routine, but
Right.
lying on my carpet, I have a big rug in my living room, and I just lay there for like an hour and stretch. That's
Easy.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dude, classic. Can't go wrong with stretching.
Yeah.
If you were a musical instrument, what would you be?
First thing that comes up is a guitar, I think, yeah.
Okay.
An
got you.
electric guitar.
An electric guitar. Nice. Easy. Also a classic. Okay. Dream project to shoot. Unlimited budget and resources.
Oh. You're bringing up like an old project that I've always wanted to do, but I haven't done. Do you know the like Paukwatsi, is it? And like Samsara,
I know Samsara.
Baraka,
Yeah.
like that style. I've always wanted to shoot a video to this one Fortet song called Plastic People. And I always imagined that it would have like human repetition in it, people getting onto like subways and like time lapses. I mean, in that kind of style of those films. So unlimited budget, I think that was what I would do.
Okay, got you. Making it happen. All right, dream guest on All That's Left podcast. Well, FKA, All That's Left podcast.
Dream guest? I don't know, because I pretty much just want to do like friends and people within my circle. So I don't really have a dream guest. You know?
All right, got you. Well, I'm your friend and in your circle, so
You're next.
maybe I'll be up there. You'll be interviewing me. We'll switch seats.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do it here.
And finally, at MOARRR Studios, shouts out. Where can we find you to keep updated on all that's Jared?
I guess my Instagram, Jared C. Davis.
Got you.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
That's kind of it. And your website?
Yeah, what is my website? JaredCDavis.com.
Also jaredcdavis.com.
Yeah.
I think that's your email too, right? Jared C. Davis.
No.
Where do we see Jared C.
I'm
Davis?
Jared C.K. Davis.
You're Jared. Okay, got you. Change it up a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I can't get that Gmail, so
All right.
I had to add the K.
Yeah, got to add it in there. Amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. It just feels like another Tuesday, just hanging out. We could have been at Taco Fino again, you know, easy enough.
Instead, we got this pie.
We got this pie. Look at this pie and this beautiful cat. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the live stream. Appreciate you being here. And again, thank you, Jared, for being here. If you're a creative in Vancouver, dancer, artist, musician, etc., have a story to share, scan the QR code around somewhere around here or in the screen area on the edited version of this episode. Fill out the form and you could possibly be a guest on this show. Eating pie, just like Jared Davis, Jared C. Davis. Shout out to MOARRR Studio once again. We're shooting today. Shout out to TELUS STORYHIVE for powering today's episode. I'm your host, Jamn Camrn. You've been watching STORYHIVE on location in Vancouver with beats, eats, and more.